Well, how's hiring at BRPD? How's hiring at EBRSO? And let's talk about the vice presidential debate. Roll it, Kirk. Oh, as I gingerly take my seat here alongside Lionel Rainey III, political strategist and someone I've known
20 years?
20 years.
That's crazy.
Lean and Mean doing political commentary in New Orleans right now as well, and a couple segments with you. But the first thing I want to start with is the vice presidential debate that was a couple days ago as we sit. And it was different in tone than the presidential debates, the two that we've seen, one with Kamala Harris and the other with President Biden. What were your thoughts on the vice presidential debate?
I mean, look, before we get into, I guess, the current state of what's happening in the race and what's happening in global, right, and where how things are shaping up, I think that it was a breath of fresh air.
I think so.
You saw each person treat the other with civility. They had questions that were asked. At least one of them did their best to answer the questions. But it was. I think a lot of people. It was something that people had been looking for. Yeah. A little bit of decorum. Yeah. That we don't have to throw jabs and we don't have to sneer and make faces when somebody's talking, and you can get an idea of the positions that they're taking. So yeah, I think
it was a throwback.
It was,
because they used to be like that,
and it was nice. I mean, look, there is an entertainment value in some of these other wilder debates that have happened. It certainly makes for really good clickbait and viral moments. But what's getting ready to happen in November in this election is going to really determine the trajectory of our country for a long time. So it's nice to see them act like adults for a second.
What are your thoughts on the moderating in the debates? Because in this cycle, and you and I have talked about politics for a number of years, in this cycle, the moderators or the formatting has been so much more of a discussion than we've seen in campaigns, political campaigns gone by at the national level. This one was a lot less in the way, although there was one instance of fact checking when they said they wouldn't do that. But what's your thought on the moderating?
So I like a debate in which people can actually debate. They can. It doesn't need to be the Wild West. You absolutely have to have some rules. But I mean, in recent years, we've seen some debates which have been hedged by the people that are asking the questions. Right. And the questions that they ask, and the tone in which they ask it. When you're cutting people off, when you're cutting their microphones off, it was nice to have two people, who can sit there and talk and have a discussion. I didn't think that the team moderating I didn't think it was great.
Wasn't good or bad.
I like it when the people asking the questions are not part of the story at all. I think you should lay out a question, tough questions for both sides, let them answer it. Hopefully, they can talk like adults and they can let the other person speak. I think that we've gotten to a place where you've got to completely overregulate these things because people start to talk over each other and they're trying to create viral moments. I mean, look, their teams are telling them to do that, right? It's people live in 5 and 7 and 10-second sound bites right now. The attention span of the country is so small that you have to create those moments but it's my personal preference, and I think it's better for the voter if a question gets asked, fair questions get asked, and you get to hear how somebody responds to it, and then let the other person rebut it, and then move on.
Was there a highlight for you in the debate? Well, let me back up. The two moments most talked about from the debate are the questions one to Governor Walz about him saying he was somewhere he was not, and then the question to J.D. Vance about January 6th and the election from 2020. What are your thoughts on those moments being talked about so much?
And again, it's unfortunate these are the things we're talking about because we're not talking about anything that's really important right now. I mean, and we can get to that in a couple of minutes. Sure. Those are both tough questions. He's obviously caught in a lie. Governor Walz is clearly. When you ask a question, he starts talking about growing up in a middle-class neighborhood instead of answering the actual question. And the January 6th and whether or not the election was stolen is obviously still a major point of contention, and you can't be in contrast to what the principal is saying,
or to the top of the ticket.
And that's what I mean by the principle. You can't be in contrast to that. So, but again, neither one of these things, while they may go to character somewhat, like they're not. We've got so much to talk about.
Look,
there's so much going on in our country and in the world right now. But those were the two biggest moments from the debate.
I'll tell you, and we're going to take a quick break and come back with Lionel and set it up this way for you. The issue in Israel was barely talked about. I don't think that was covered enough. There was no mention of this port issue that is imminent that could be really catastrophic for the economy as we enter the fourth quarter of the year, where it's kind of shaky for businesses, as you know, anyway. And so I don't want you to answer that now. We are going to go to the break so we can come back and talk with Lionel about those issues and where he thinks the race is sizing up. We'll talk about some of the battleground states between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. We'll do that with LR3 next. So we went into the break talking about some of what was left on the plate for the presidential debate. I think there was more protein there about issues that Americans care about more. And I'll start with you. There wasn't a whole lot of talk about Iran's assault on Israel. There wasn't any talk about the port strike that is imminent. And as we're sitting here now, this stuff is ramping up. And I think those are two issues that will affect every American, regardless of what political party you're in. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, of course they're not going to talk about those things. Look, let's just get to it. There's a reason why the top of the ticket, Kamala Harris, has not done an interview since she announced.
Why is that?
We're going because she can't.
You don't think so?
Are you kidding? She can't talk about Israel. Look, the world's on fire.
I started to warn you all about Lionel.
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I mean, look, the world is on fire.
Yeah.
The instability in the Middle East is unlike it's been in years. Russia is on the move in a proxy war, just completely unchecked with Ukraine.
So many things.
100 million %. China is on the move. Iran is on the move. Western Africa is completely unstable. You've got your longshoremen and your dock workers, which are striking, which could literally shut down commerce in our country, cost us hundreds of billions of dollars. You've got states that are completely underwater, that people it's
literally
underwater as we speak. You've got the mayor of Asheville, North Carolina, saying, "Hey, can we get some water?" You've got people flooding across the southern border at record rates. Inflation is absolutely through the roof, and you've got a campaign talking about tampons in boys' bathrooms. I mean, that's the difference here, and this is why that they can't. That's why she won't do an interview. Why won't she do an interview? Why won't Tim Walz do an interview? It's because the things that people actually care about, the things that, and I'm not going to say other people don't care about social issues that they do, but right now there are families across this country that are hurting. We are in a very fragile place with both our national economy and our foreign policy across the globe. We are not a leader. We haven't been a leader. We haven't showed leadership in 4 years. And if they can't answer the questions, which is why she doesn't take the questions. Now, look, for good or bad, you know exactly where Donald Trump stands on these issues, and you know exactly where J.D. Vance stands. Whether or not you like it or not, you got to appreciate that. We have no idea where they stand.
I'm going to surprise you and say that I don't disagree. I think they should talk more about policy because I care. I'm one of these people who cares more about policy and where the economy is going. But I'll say on the other side of the coin, Donald Trump's inability to control his impulses has been his biggest problem.
That's been his greatest weakness since day one, and probably his entire life.
The name calling, the being up at 11 o'clock at night, tweeting, "I hate Taylor Swift" and things like that, that doesn't get people to focus on. Look, if you look at polling, there's a website called realpolitics.com. If you look at polling and see where Americans stand on issues of economy, most Americans are with President Trump. On most social issues, people are with Vice President Harris. But in terms of the economy, it also shows that Americans don't think we're moving in the right direction. We've barely had a real conversation on the national level about issues.
Right? That matter.
And that's what I think. We're not going to have any more debates. You're going into November without really knowing where things are going to be. Look, I think her asset is she's going to get people that just cannot stand and will not abide Donald Trump. I think working in his favor are people who, in spite of himself, look at him as someone who can manage the economy. Is that wrong analysis?
No, I don't think it is. And I'm hearing more and more people say now, look, I don't want to vote for Donald Trump, but I have to vote for Donald Trump. This is not going to be as big of a social issue year as it has been in the past.
Not with the economy stuff
Not with
happening
the way that the economy
Look,
is.
I got a minute, so I want to ask you about this. Quick, this week there's more, it's October, so the more court filings against former President Trump. Do you think any, and this goes back to the election, does any of this stick or have any impact on the race?
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
If you think that there is a person in this country who is undecided in how they're going to vote right now, you're wrong.
Yeah.
People know exactly how they're going to vote, and if you're going to vote for Donald Trump, he's been, he's had I don't know, a dozen different indictments, I guess, or that's probably more, but he's been indicted at this point. He's gone to court. Like nobody cares.
I think at this point in the race, I'm not going to disagree with you. By now, you know where you are.
You know where you are, and it's about who turns out. And let me just tell you what's happening. Watch what's happening in the Carolinas and Tennessee. And despite the lack of coverage nationally, if something was happening in Arkansas or Mississippi, we would know because of geographic. They know in Ohio, they know in Pennsylvania. They're watching the lack of response from the federal government, and it will make a difference. It's that close in those states.
It's razor close, and right before the election, I'll get you to come back.
Yeah, love
man,
to.
Appreciate you, brother. This literally is the first time we've seen each other on screen, in a while, and in person in a while too. All right, quickly here, got a chance to attend an event this weekend. Andrea Simmons held a walk/balloon release after her son passed away in January. It was a great day, and I was glad to be a part of it. And here's where you can catch the show, streaming on Friday morning, on the air Friday night, and replaying on Saturday. Well, Lieutenant L. Gene McNeely, we call him Gino, is here. Communications guru over at BRPD, one of those faces that many of y'all have been seeing a very, very long time. I think he is one of the best at what he does. And we're going to talk in a moment about BRPD doing their graduation ceremony. And actually, as you are watching this, if you're watching it on the stream, we have newly minted officers on the streets. But before we get to that, Gino, the chief earlier this week put out a statement addressing this text message that had been shared with mostly young women and ladies around our area, talking about violence connected to gang initiation. He put it out that was not true, and he addressed it. Kind of talk with us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, so we saw that it was a concern. The messaging was going all over Baton Rouge, a lot of people sharing it, and we wanted to make sure that people had confidence in our ability to let them know that nothing of the sort was happening. It's been a message that people have been sharing over a period of time, so it didn't just happen on within this past week. But we have no credible information that is pointing us in that type of direction. So number one, a lot of the shootings that have occurred have been targeted incidents. Those individuals that have been involved have had some type of road rage or prior altercation or incident that occurred which led to that shooting. What we're learning is that a lot of these shooters feel that they can get away with committing these type of crimes on the interstate. While they're rolling, they can commit a violent act and get off the roadway without people seeing them. So that's what we're seeing the trend is at this particular time. They feel that they can get away with it, but what they don't know is that we are using resources that are out there that's going to help us hold those persons responsible. We've actually made a number of arrests of individuals that have been involved in shootings, and we're pushing forward with other information that's coming in, which is helping us with our investigations.
It's so interesting the way you laid it out. It doesn't, it's self-explanatory, but I do want to ask about the age of some of the shooters now. It's like they're getting younger and younger, man.
They are. We're seeing that trend in which a lot of the young folk, they're getting guns. We know that they're irresponsible, they're hot-tempered, and whenever they're dealing with a particular situation or incident, that's the first thing they go to. It's the TV, it's the social media, it's the influencers out there. They feel that committing a violent act is the way to take care of their problems.
It's so terrible, and the force is multiplying because this week BRPD is graduating new officers. Let's talk about this graduating class.
Yes, look, we're excited about it. We have 6 new officers that'll be on the street, 5 laterals. So laterals are just to let the people know that you can come and join BRPD if you are already working with another agency. So we have a total of 11 new officers that'll be on the streets.
So 5 of them are laterals?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they're from other agencies. So we want other officers to know Baton Rouge Police is the place to be. You know, you'll be able to get the best training throughout this parish, throughout the South region. You know, we give you the best training. We make you the best officer, the best person, not only for yourself but for your family. It's the place to be, so you will be out there serving the public.
He's doing that commercial for BRPD.
Yeah.
And, talk about some of the training that they go through to become an officer.
Right, it's physical, it's psychological, it's mental, to where we're making you a better you, you know, and a better you makes you a better person to serve the community. We give you the best training that you could possibly get. Not only people think of training, you know, for shooting guns, that's a part of it, being physically fit, that's a part of it, but being able to relate and deal with people is the most important. So we push that, that message and that part of the training to a point to where we want you to know how to deal with people. There's a lot of mental health out there. There's a lot of challenges that you're being faced with that's outside of the criminal element.
Yeah. You know, you interact with the people on a daily basis. 23 years on the job?
25 and a half in 2 days.
25 and a half years on the job. What's the biggest thing that you see now versus when you started?
You mean in aspect of new officers coming in? Or it's being able to, the change in the social culture of people and how to deal with issues and situations have changed. You know, being able to relate, used to walk to the young folk and, you know, they had respect. Now you notice that people don't have respect, not only for law enforcement, but for themselves, for their grandparents, for the church, for anybody.
A lot's different now.
Yeah, so you have to learn to communicate. You have to learn to relate and share. And when you do that, you tend to be a better officer.
I love it, man. And you work in media, and that's something for people to think about. Some of the young folks who are out there who may want to be officers, they could also come and work in media. And in addition to being on television and talking about what's going on, you're interacting with the public. So, look, it's still an honorable thing to do. And this guy, he is an asset to BRPD. I hope you know that, TJ. Gino McNeely, the graduation. Congratulations to the officers and their families for this latest BRPD graduation. Let's talk schools and hiring next. And here's the C-Suite. George Bell is our latest guest. A great conversation about his beginnings, some of his work in the healthcare field, and what he's doing at the Capital Area United Way. Check it out right now at WAFB.com or the WAFB app. Oh man, this last commercial break took years off my life. I got to deal with Johnny Asian over there sticking his head out like a troll. It is Halloween season. By the way, I was instructed by Alyssa to say, with all of this, these pumpkins, you must be out of your gourd.
Oh my gosh, that was a good one. It was like a dad joke. I like this.
You know, we rubbing off on you. Wear you out. Okay.
Let's talk about y'all trying to hire some people, please.
Yes.
The Fall Fling is happening October 26th.
Yes.
And they're trying to already like finagle into the Inspiration Center. It's not even built yet for next year. What's happening at Fall Fling?
So I'm going to talk about the recruitment. Allison Lansborough is going to talk about once you're here with us, how are we going to take care of you? So,
yes, I slipped so much into that pumpkin joke, I forgot to say who you were, but go ahead.
No worries. So Fall Fling, so you know, once again, it's that time of year. So pumpkin spice, everything nice, you know, and all the great hays and hay rides. But once again.
Did you say pumpkin spice and everything
Oh,
nice?
yes, absolutely.
Well, that's just how I heard it growing up. Go ahead.
But once again, we are back again. This is our third year doing Fall Fling, and we're excited about this because this is our opportunity to have fun with recruitment and also get the best qualified staff to join our family or EBR family. So what to expect on October 26th at Broadmoor Elementary from 10 to 1 a.m. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Wow.
This is actually a party.
Bring your pajamas. Bring your pajamas, toothbrush.
Right. Happy hour
10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Wow.
We will be doing on-the-spot hiring. There will be no parties at all. On-the-spot hiring.
You would sure enough see that on Monday morning.
So we'll be doing on-the-spot hiring. We will definitely have some fitness instructor there to work out because we do believe in health and wellness. We will have some performance by our teachers and also our students. So once again, we want folks to come on over. Bring all your documents, your application. We will help you find a space with EBR.
Oh, I love that. That segues into, okay, It's not my show.
Yes,
Go
yes,
ahead.
Go ahead. I mean, it may as well be. Go
I'm just
ahead.
saying. So speaking of having a place for you, we have a place for you in EBR, and with that, we meet people where they are. We have all types of resources available.
Okay.
We have grow your own programs. If you come in as a para, if you come in as a bus operator, we want you to have all of those resources. And if you're interested in being a teacher, we have grow your own programs to help you get your degree and help get certified.
You know, it's interesting because in the last few weeks, obviously with the new superintendent hire, there's been such a great energy around EBR schools.
Yes.
In fact, you don't see negative stories right now. You know, the average routine things happening, but it's, how do you feel about the new energy around the district right now?
It's awesome. And you know, we always, from an HR standpoint, we always want to push out the warm and fuzzy, right, with the Care Bear hearts and everything.
Yeah.
And now Mr. Cole being on our team, which is super awesome. And his story is amazing.
It is.
So he's
Yes.
an EBR, a product of EBR. And look at his career trajectory and where he started with EBR, and now he is heading
Yeah.
EBR.
I
So
think that's
if that
awesome.
is
Amazing,
not
yeah.
a story for everyone to be excited about and to look forward to what your potential growth would be for EBR, why not, right?
I think it's
so
great.
he's been amazing, and he's so innovative, outside the box, which is great, because for personalities like us, we always want to have fun. So
Good Lord.
he aligns with what we got going on, and he pushes us to do more, be better, and become the best place for in just Louisiana. And I can't forget about Mr. Smith. You know, he was an interim, and he's our deputy. And with both of them together, with our personality from an HR standpoint, we're able to attract and
Awesome
hopefully
team.
retain the people that we want part of our family.
October 26th, Dr. Hall said it's going to be from 10 to 1 in the morning. So, bring your own resume. No.
And your
10
own
to,
sleeping bag.
And your own sleeping bag. 10 to 1 p.m., the Fall Fling. Much like BRPD, a very honorable profession. And we'll get these ladies back, or at least highlight this right before that takes place. Thank y'all for coming.
you.
She's going to be a podcast guest coming up here in
Yes.
the coming
Ooh,
weeks. No, I don't have time for it right
wait,
now.
We gotta,
Wait,
we
hold
gotta
on.
get you to our podcast.
Okay.
We have a podcast very quickly.
Okay.
It's called Off the Clock.
Yes.
You love it. Tell me you love it. And we
I
would
love
love for you we would love for you to be a guest. We put it out there. Yes.
Praise God, the bump music is playing. Gotta go. So, next week we are slated to have a conversation with Governor Jeff Landry. We'll see how that works out. Y'all have a fantastic weekend, and don't forget, EBRschools.com. Go to Fall Fling. Great cause, and that's where you can catch me on the socials.